gonna get started. Of course, I'm Holly Hanley. Thank you so much for joining me today. And we're doing the Welcome Dragonflies. I had such fun painting this. I've always wanted to paint that bokeh effect for the background. So this was like the first time that I've done this, and I love the way that it turned out, and I can't wait to show you all how we did that. Okay, of course, we're using the DecoArt paints today, and I love the DecoArt products. They're definitely my favorite. Okay, so just the acrylic paints, and we're going to get started with that background first. And I always tell people, don't think too much, just let it happen. The first time that we do the background actually is sort of like a practice layer. So you don't have to worry at all, just relax and have fun and let it happen. But we're going to slip slap a little bit of white. Okay, so we've got a little bit of mistletoe. Okay, so these colors are the first ones that we're going to be using for the background. We've got some true blue. We have olive green, tropical blue, and some Tuscan red. Okay, so I'm going to go over those colors in just a second. I'm going to turn my camera around. We're going to get this show on the road. Okay, and we'll start with that background. Okay, so we've got our piece. I have just basically a little round here. Okay, like so. Here. All right. Okay, so I've got my colors here. Again, I'm just going to grab a little bit of that true blue. Okay, and I'm going to be using a flat brush. So if you have a flat brush handy, that's what we're going to use. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of slip slapping. This is how I do a lot of my backgrounds. Okay, I love to slip slap the colors to give it a nice variation. Okay, blend that. And I've got a little bit of tropical blue. Isn't this the best prep? When you don't have to do anything, you just paint. So don't have to base coat too much. All right. Okay, so we've got a little bit of white. Okay. So these are the colors. Again, I'm just using the Tuscan red, true blue, some olive green, some tropical blue, a mistletoe, and some white. Okay, so if you're missing any of those colors, don't worry. If you have something close, that's totally fine. If you don't have the tropical blue, you can even add a little bit of the Tuscan red to the tropical blue, and you'll get that sort of tealish look, which is nice. Okay, so one little thing to remember, I guess, when you're painting this is that you want the sort of the center of the picture to be our focal. So we have it a little bit lighter, and we're going to add all of those little sort of reflected lights in there too, with some dry brushing and some stenciling, which is going to be fun. So I'm quite excited. Okay, all right. So I'm just going to take my flat brush, and if you have a 3/4 inch flat or a wash, or even if you have a 12 shader, anything works here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is just wet my brush first. Okay, tap off the excess water on your paper towel. Okay, and we're going to just jump right in. All right. Okay, so what I usually like to do is I put just a little bit of water down, okay, like so, right in here, like this, okay, and I'm going to take a little bit of that true blue, okay, and I'm going to slip slap this color. And again, like I said before, don't worry too much because we're going to do this a couple times, okay? So I'm going to pick a couple little colors or spots here. I'm going to blend in that true blue, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to take a little bit of that mistletoe, like so. Okay, and I'm going to blend, and you can see how I'm just sort of brushing back and forth like this in little sort of X strokes, like so. Okay, and it all sort of meshes together because the colors are still a little bit wet. Okay, and then we're going to grab a little bit of that olive green. And it's a really nice pop of color. I love it. I love the contrast in different colors. Okay, so like this. And if you just kind of keep blending, brushing back and forth, the colors will blend nicely together. Okay, so right in here, like this. Okay, I'm even going to grab just a little bit of that red and a little bit of white, and it makes that nice pink. Okay, and honestly, to be honest with you, don't worry. It's going to look kind of like a hot mess here, but for a little bit, but I promise it'll get better and better. Okay, so I always say projects kind of go through those ugly stages, but they do get better. Okay, so just taking a little bit of that Tuscan red and a little bit of white. Okay, and I've got that blue. And we have some mistletoe. Okay, so I just sort of doing little patches of that color to create that blurred background. Okay, like this. Okay, and I'm even going to go back with a little bit of pink, and I'm going to add a little bit more maybe where that pink flower is going to go, and it's going to turn a little bit purple, but that's okay. It's just kind of a muted color in the background. All right. Okay. I love Tuscan red. It's one of my favorite colors. And I love how it makes it such a vibrant pink when you add a little touch of white to it. So I use that quite often for my go-to pink. Now, if there's something, if there's another pink that you really like or another red, you can definitely feel free to use that. Okay. I always tell people, feel free to get creative. Okay. So you don't have to do exactly like mine. If you like different colors, you can definitely change it. Okay. So, but basically that's kind of how I started. The colors sort of mesh together really nicely because they're a little bit wet. Okay. And again, don't think too much, just kind of let it happen. The more that you brush back and forth, the more the colors will blend. Okay. And like I said before, this is our practice layer. We're actually going to do this again just to make the colors a little bit more vibrant. Okay. So right in here. Okay, and I usually try and keep a blow dryer handy so that I can blow dry that background just to sort of add, so I can do that next layer. I'm going to turn my light off here because it's a little bit bright. Okay, so, and I wanted to tell you too, while you're working on your background, I did a stepping stone to match this. It's the same pattern I did, so I'll send you all the updated pattern. Okay, so I'll email that to you along with the video link. So if you want to do this for your garden, I love the way that it turns out. So I'll have to show you all a little bit later. Okay, so again, I just slips up the background. I use these different colors. So I've got mistletoe and olive green. Okay, I've got some tropical blue that I sort of threw in there a little bit. Okay, and I've got Tuscan red, which I mixed with a little bit of white so that I have sort of a pink color. Okay, and this is just, again, the background. Don't worry too much, okay? Just sort of slips up those colors, okay? And we're gonna do this again. So my piece is actually almost dry. I'm just gonna put myself on mute here. I'm gonna blow dry it, and then we'll do that background one more time. So when you've got that done, I would just give it a quick blow dry. We're going to do that background one more time, makes the colors a little bit more vibrant. Okay, and I find that the second time is a little easier because you kind of know the color placement and where you want to put things. Okay, so basically, again, I did a sort of a lighter patch kind of more in the center. All right, okay, and then I've got some patches of the blues and a little bit of pink, kind of where I'm going to put my pink flowers. So just to kind of start that suggestion of color in the background. Okay, so, and then whenever you're ready, okay, just give me a thumbs up, or you can hold up your piece. I'd love to see them. I can't wait to see what you painted them on. So that looks great, Karen. Very nice. So nice. Looks great, Elaine. Great, Diane. They look so good. Awesome. All right. Looks good, Cheryl. Oh, yeah. Man, you guys are good. These look great. Very nice. Very nice. Looks good, Carol. Yeah. Okay, so when we do that second layer, okay, it looks like everybody's sort of on the right path here. They look great. Okay, so we're gonna actually take our brush, and because that was so much fun, we're gonna do it all again. Okay, so I'm just gonna take I've got, again, my 3/4 inch wash brush or flat. Okay, I'm just gonna put a really light layer of water down. If you lift up your piece and it's Niagara Falls, that's too much. It's just enough to cover. And this basically works like an extender. So you're just increasing the open time of your paint by just adding a little touch of water on the surface. Okay, so you have more time to mop and to soften. Okay, so again, I'm going to do the same sort of colors. So I'm just going to brush in a little bit of that olive green. I've got a little bit of mistletoe, a couple of those little patches here and there. Okay, so this time the colors will stay wet a little longer because I put a little bit more water on. Okay, I've got these nice blues that I love. They just mix right in, and you can see how I'm just sort of slip-slapping every which way. Again, don't think too much. Just kind of, let those colors happen. Okay, I love that tropical blue. It's got sort of like a nice teal, sort of hint of teal to it. Okay, just gonna brush that in like so. And I don't usually use retarder or extender just because I find that it takes too long to dry almost. So I always just kind of use just a little bit of water. A little bit of water goes a long way. Okay, and then I'm just gonna wipe my brush and take a little bit of that red and a little bit of white. Okay, and I'm gonna brush in a little bit of that pink, which looks amazing. I love this color. It's such a nice color. Okay, so you can see I'm just brushing it back and forth. Maybe add another little spot here and there in the background, wherever you like. Okay, it's going to be muted because it's going to mix with the greens and the blues, but it'll look great. Okay, and then if you have a mop brush handy, that comes in handy, and I usually just sweep back and forth. I know some people like to pounce, but I love the sweeping motion. I find it's a little softer, okay, and it'll just help you blend those colors in really nicely. And I find with the second layer, it just looks so pretty. The colors are a little bit more vibrant, okay. Adds a little bit more depth to the background, okay, like so. Okay, and when you're happy with it, you can just kind of keep playing. If it's still wet, you can kind of keep adding a little bit more color, like so. Okay, and you can always add those little blurred background stencils here and there if you've got a little spot that maybe didn't blend quite as well or you didn't like. There's daisies. There's all kinds of stuff we're going to paint in the foreground. So, all right. I love these mops. They're so nice. This one is the Princeton Oval Mop. I love it because it doesn't shed. So the hairs don't come out on your piece when you're working, which I find is gets to be a little bit bothersome. Okay. How's everybody doing? Doing okay? All right. Okay, so again, I just went over the background. I put a little touch of water down first, so a thin layer of water. Okay, and I'm just slip slapping. I use my 3/4 inch wash brush. Okay, I started with a little bit of olive green, just right in the center there. Again, you can use different greens as long as it's a nice contrasting color. Okay, there's always matcha green or margarita. Okay, so you can use that. And I just, when I slip slap, I just get rid of some of the water in my brush, pick up that paint, and I go every which way. So I do sort of little X strokes. Okay, starting in the center, and I'm going to put a few little patches here and there. Okay, and then I basically went right in. I don't even wash my brush. I just go right into that blue. Okay, so we did a little bit of true blue, which is such a pretty color. We've got some of that tropical blue, which is more of a tealy blue. And then we've got mistletoe. Okay, and then I added some pink because I love pink. And the pinks that I like to use are, of course, the Tuscan red and a little touch of white. Okay, so because I find it makes such a vibrant, beautiful pink. Okay, so, but feel free to use any colors that you like. If you want to add something different into your background, you sure can. Okay, and the nice thing about these acrylics is that they dry pretty quickly. So you don't have to wait too long for them to dry, or you can use your blow dryer. Okay. And if you find that your piece is really drying too fast before you have a chance to blend, just, use maybe a little touch more color, or even add just a touch of water to your brush. Okay, or maybe if you added a little touch of more water to the surface, that'll keep it wet longer. Okay. Again, if you wouldn't mind showing me, I would love to see them after you're done. Love to see how they go. Okay, and don't rush. We've got lots of time. So everybody's doing okay. Looks good, Karen. Very nicely blended. That looks great. Looks good, Lil. Nice. Yeah, they look so good. Okay, so and then when you're finished your background, okay, again, don't stress yourself out over this. We're gonna do lots on top. So we've got those pretty daisies on top and the dragonflies, of course. Okay, and we're gonna do some stenciling. Hopefully everybody was able to find just a circle stencil. Okay, great. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to put myself on mute again. I'm going to blow dry this, and then we're going to do a little bit of stenciling. So if you have your circle stencil, you can get that out.
Holly, it's Marilyn.
Yes.
Hi, I have a question. I don't know if it's my surface or if what's happening, but I'm getting like, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it's like it almost looks like I lifted color. Should I go over it one more?
So it's probably just because the first layer wasn't quite dry, which happens sometimes. So it's not a problem.
Should I go over those areas where I could see kind of the base, it's almost like the wood. Yes. It's almost like I lifted the color right up.
Yeah, I find that that's usually just because it didn't dry all the way. So if you let it dry or blow dry it just for a couple minutes, make sure that it's really nice and dry, and then you can go over it again.
Okay, I'll do that real quick. Okay, thank you.
No problem. So I found these, well, I have a little circle stencil that I'm going to be using here in a few minutes. Okay, when everybody's ready. But so it came in handy, but I don't know if anybody has a Cricut. They are a godsend. So I made another little stencil out of just a piece of cardstock, which is, I buy these little cardstock papers from Dollar Store, my favorite store. Okay, and you can cut like anything with this Cricut. I love it. You can find the Cricuts at Costco. they come in so handy for cutting stencils and lettering and all kinds of things. So I use this actually because I needed a little bit bigger circle for my stepping stone. So I cut this. But so if you know somebody with a Cricut, they can cut you all kinds of fabulous things. I just absolutely love it. And I've been making all kinds of things like t-shirts, and it's been lots of fun. There's not enough hours in the day. I don't know to do everything that I want to do. I'm gonna have to live till I'm 189. I don't know, to get everything done. Okay, so again, we just did that background. We did 2 layers. Okay, I always call the first layer a practice layer. Okay, so we used a little bit of, I put a little touch of water down first over the surface. Okay, I slip slapped a little bit of olive green in the center just to make it a little bit brighter. Okay, and then we used a little bit of mistletoe. We've got a little bit of tropical blue in there. I just used my larger flat brush for that. Okay, so that just slip slapping back and forth. Again, I always tell people, don't overthink this. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. These are just the colors that you're going to see sort of like in the background. We're actually going to slip slap this one more time. So again, don't stress yourself out over this. Okay. So when you have a chance, you can get out a little bit, or we're going to use the same colors. So you actually don't need any new colors. Okay, same colors. And we're going to use that circle stencil. So if we have a little bit of a circle stencil, and again, if you need a few more minutes, just let me know. That's totally fine. Okay. Everybody okay? Got those brushes working away? Okay, again, don't worry, it doesn't have to be exact. Okay, perfect. See someone with that? Yeah, okay. So this is kind of fun. I love doing the stenciling. Okay, so what we're trying to create is that bokeh effect. And I actually searched up how to say it. I was calling it bokeh, but it's bokeh, I guess. And it's a Japanese word which means like blur or haze. Okay, and I love how I've taken some photographs that have that in there, and I always loved how the background was a little bit softer. And we're going to create some of that backscatter. Okay, or that reflection. Okay, so they're just basically circular objects here. You can see it in the original. Okay, and I've got lots of these nice soft little circles. Okay, so we're gonna actually dry brush, and I use my, if you have a stencil brush, you can use that. I'm gonna be using my stippler brush because that's what I have handy. Okay, so I've got a couple different sizes. If you have the 1/4 inch and the 3/8 stippler, that works great. Okay, or even the smaller one. Okay, but we're going to do some nice light little circles, and they're going to, again, this is going to go through those ugly stages where you're going to wonder what the heck's going on, but we're going to put those in the background, and then we're going to do that background over top of them again to soften and push it back. Okay, so they're going to look really kind of stark, but we're going to go over with those background colors again just to soften them. Okay, so the colors that we're going to be using is, and again, remember to use very little paint. Okay, so you just need, I'm using my brush nice and dry. So, and I'm not using a lot of paint. Okay, and I'm going to use a little bit of the colors that we used for the background. Okay, so I've got some olive green. I've got some white, which I'm going to mix with a little bit of Tuscan red. So I get this nice pink. One new color is the sunny day. Okay, and we're going to add a few little sunny day circles as well. So if you want to get that color out, and if you don't have sunny day, no problem, just use cad yellow and add some white to it, and that'll be very similar. Okay, so grab a little bit of that, and then you're just going to get started. But I tried to keep a lot of those lighter circles in the center. Okay, so especially where that little dragonfly is going to go, like right in here, we're going to do lots of those little circles, and you know, use all the different sizes. Okay, so I'm going to start with a little bit of olive green. Okay, so rub off the excess on your paper towel. Okay, so I have a nice dry paper towel right here. Rub off the excess. Okay, so you don't have too much paint on your brush. because you don't want it to seep underneath your stencil. Okay, but we're just going to dry brush in a few of those little circles here and there, but this is what they look like. Okay, so they're nice and soft. Okay, I didn't use a lot of paint. All right. Okay, some of them are already faded. If you have one that's a little bit brighter, that's totally fine. Okay, but I'm using a dry stippler. Don't add any water to your stippler. Okay, get rid of the excess on a paper towel. And then, don't be afraid to do some overlapping ones too. Okay, so I've got one that's a little bit bigger that's over top of that one. And I'm going to stay sort of in the center there. I'm going to add, so I've got a little patch of green here. I'm also going to add a couple little circles right in there. So, and it, if you've got some of those that circular stencil that's around 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch circles to 3/4 inch, any of those sizes will be great. Okay, so I'm just starting with a little bit of olive green. Okay, nice dry brush, and just a tiny little bit of color on my brush is all you need. And it starts to come to life. They kind of look like little bubbles, really. But, okay, so, and then I'm going to use some other colors here too when I get this done. But just have fun. You just move your stencil around and stencil in lots of those little circles. Okay. Again, we're going to be going over top with the background colors again, just to kind of soften them so they don't look quite so stark. Okay. Just creating that effect. All right. Okay. And then I'm going to add white. I'm going to just add white to my brush. Okay, and I'm going to add more. So I've got some nice bright little circles in the center here. Okay, again, feel free to overlap. It'll create a really nice depth. Okay, so some of them I ran out of paint. They look a little farther back. These ones look a little bit brighter, so they're more forward. Okay. Like so. So to find that circular stencil, I think there's a few places that you can find it. I believe Sandy has this stencil, Sandy McTeer. Hey, you might be able to find that on her website. Michael's might carry a circular stencil. Hey. All right. Okay, so this is, I've just added a little bit of white to my brush. Okay, so this was on my dirty brush, and then I'm going to take a little bit of Sunny Day. Okay. So just adding lots of those little circles, and it's fairly quick. Like you don't want them to be perfect. So you don't even have to come right up to the edge of the circle, just to kind of, a little bit more color in the middle like that. And I just picked up a little Sunny Day. I love that color. I love the name of it. Everyone loves a sunny day, right? Okay, so adding that, lots of those little circular shapes in the background there. Okay, so just adding more and more, and you can mix up your colors. So if you want, I'm going to add a few more here in the center, especially with that lighter, like the Sunny Day. And again, I don't rinse my brush. I just go into the next color. That way they mesh a little bit and they blend. Okay, so this one is kind of a mix of the olive green and some white and Sunny Day. Okay, And I love how, you know, when you paint, everybody's turns out different. It's great. They're all unique. Even I can't paint the same thing exactly the same twice. Okay. So, and then I'm going to add a little bit of blue, maybe a little bit of white. Okay. So we've got some true blue and a little bit of white. Okay. And we'll add some little like this, sort of more in the blue areas that you slip slot. Okay, so I'm just going to add a few here and there. It's kind of nice to add some different colors. Like so. Okay, but just have fun. And you can see how dry it is. Okay, there's no paint on the back of my stencil. I never wash my stencils, which is terrible. I should, but you know, I don't have to worry about any wet paint on the bottom, so I can just kind of keep going around and moving them. But it really does kind of look like, I don't know, it looks a little scary right now, but it'll get better. It'll get better, I promise. Okay. So we've got some light blue ones. The blue ones were just with true blue and a little touch of white. Okay, just to kind of get that lighter blue. Again, I didn't rinse my brush. I just kind of wiped it off on my paper towel. Okay, so like this. And don't worry, we're going to be adding more of these little circles later on too. Okay, so if you don't have enough or you want to add more, we're going to do some more later. Okay. Like this. Okay, so again, we're just kind of starting to do that bokeh effect, and we're adding those little circular objects, I guess, in the background. Okay, that blurred, basically it's just, you know, dust or whatever is in the background that's out of focus. I find in the wintertime when I take a picture when it's snowing, I get this effect really easily because your camera can't focus on every little snowflake. So, all right. Okay, so there's lots of little spots in the background. Again, it looks so scary. It's not pretty, but I promise it'll get better. Okay, you can even add a little bit of red and a little touch of white to put in a few little pink ones. Okay, so if you want a couple little pink, very nice and light. I wouldn't worry too much down here because we're going to be adding all those flowers, so you don't really see them too much. But if you want to add some really light ones in the background, okay, like so. All right. So again, I just used a little circular stencil. First I started with olive green, okay, and I'm using my little 3/8, well actually my bigger stippler brush, okay, this is just a 3/8 deerfoot, and I used it dry, so don't add any water to your paint or your brush, okay, you don't want to thin your paint at all, and you're picking up a little bit of paint, get rid of the excess on a dry paper towel, okay, like this. And basically just stenciling on different little shaped circles, different sizes of circles, okay? Should be nice and light. And we started with a little bit of olive green. I added some white, so I got a little bit lighter green, and then I added some sunny day, okay? And then I switched and added some true blue and white, okay? And then a few little pink ones, which kind of look purpley in the background, but that's okay, okay? So that's kind of what it looks like. And they're fun to do. You know, you don't think too much. I just kind of, you know, put a few more central just to give it that nice little highlight that we're going to have behind the dragonfly in the center. Okay. So that's what That's what my background looks like right now. And it's kind of sometimes it's hard to stop, you know, you just kind of want to keep going. So you can add as many as you like. Okay. And again, I'm not sure why I'm putting, you don't have to put a whole bunch down here because you really don't see them. It's more like up here. So I've already decided this is going to be the top. Okay. And one other little thing, make sure that you have some that are overlapping. They shouldn't all just be like just sitting separate. Okay. It's okay to have them touching or overlapping. It just creates a little bit more depth. Okay. Like so. And I'll have a new pattern to sort of go with this one next week. Kind of excited. Got that one started and I got that stepping stone I want to show you. I thought I actually made a couple because I thought it would make such a nice little gift. So, all right. Oh, okay, I need to stop. Anyone else have that problem? You just kind of keep going and going. Okay. All right, so that's my background. All of those little dots, okay? All those little circles in the background to start that effect. I find that as artists, we're all illusionists trying to create that illusion of depth and make it three-dimensional. Okay. So once we're done that and you've got those little spots on, okay, again, we're going to add a little bit more color on top and then we're going to add that daisy in. Okay, so we're going to trace the pattern on after we do that. So once you're done, you can blow dry. Okay. Like that. Okay, so okay. You can blow dry your background when you're all finished. I'm just going to put myself on mute here. Everybody doing okay? Sorry, I was on mute. Again, I always forget to turn that back on. I was just saying that you can find those circular stencils at a few different places, like Michael's, Hobby Lobby has just basic circle stencils. I think Sandy McTeer has a circle stencil. Anyone else have want to add where they found theirs?
CD Wood.
Oh, CD Wood has that. Okay, for sure. Yeah, so there's lots of different places you can find those.
A store that carries drafting supplies.
Yes. Okay.
Tracy Moreau has them.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, lots of different places. Perfect. Okay, so just give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go, or you can show me your piece. I even love that better. See how they're coming along. Okay. Looks good. Nice job. Looks good, Linda and Karen. Yeah, awesome. Very nice. Yeah, Carol looks good. Cheryl, you got that nice background in there. Good. Yeah, looks good. Very nice. Lisa and Diane. Yeah, awesome. Great, Tanya. Looks good. Okay, perfect. And you know what? Again, if you need to add a few more a little bit later on, we're actually going to be doing after we do this background again. Okay. So it looks like everybody's got quite a few circles in there. Everybody okay to go on to the next step? Okay, great. So again, to create that depth in the background, what I did was I went over these circles that we just dry brushed on. Okay, we're going to go over them with the same colors again. Okay, except we're going to add a little bit of white. Okay, to that olive green even. Okay, or even a little bit of sunny day. Okay, so make sure that your little circles are nice and dry. If you need to, you can blow dry them. Okay, and if you want to watch for just a second, I'll show you what the next step. Okay, so we're just going to use those same colors. And again, the only thing I'm doing a little bit different, I'm maybe just using a little bit less color, so it's not quite, it's not covering quite as much. And I'm adding a little touch of sunny day in the center, so right in here, and it's going to look a little chalky, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to start by just adding a little bit of water to the surface. Again, this is just to keep the paints wet a little longer so I have more time to mop and to soften. Okay, this will help my colors, again, just stay wet a little longer so I have more time to play with them. Okay, and I'm not going to pick up quite as much color as I did before, but I'm going to use similar colors, except I'm going to take a little touch of sunny day and I'm going to put that in the center. Okay, so this, you can see how it's getting quite blurred. So I'm not using a whole bunch of color. I've got a little bit of olive green. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit of mistletoe. Okay, in some of those areas. Okay, so you can see my piece is quite wet. Like I used a touch more water than I did before. Okay, I've got a little bit of sunny day in the center, even a little touch of white if you want. Looks nice. Okay, so this is sunny day and a little touch of white. I'm going to take a little bit of blue. Okay, especially if you've got a couple of those little circles that are really bright. You want to maybe tone them down a little touch with a little bit of color. Okay, again, I'm not using a whole bunch of color. It's just a really light slip slap back and forth. Okay, and then have your mop brush handy at all times. Love this mop brush. Okay, and you're going to blend back and forth. So I'm just softening the colors that I just put on. Okay, and you can see how much I pushed them back. So they're off into the background now, except for that one here. It's bothering me. I'm going to go over top of it with a little touch of blue. Okay, but it looks nice and soft now, right? You can even take a little bit of pink if you want. I didn't really put any of those little circles too much at the bottom, so I'm not going to worry too much, but it's all about that background. Okay. All right. Okay, and again, don't worry if it looks a little bit chalky. It's all part of the process. Okay, so I just went over with my 3/4 inch flat brush. So this one right here, I went over with some water first. Okay, I used just a little touch more water. Again, if you lift it up and it runs, that's too much. Just basically enough water to cover. And then I used just a tiny little bit of color. Okay, so I just picked up a little bit, just pull it from that little blob of paint that you have. Okay, I started with the lightest colors, so I used a little bit of Sunny Day, even a little touch of white in the center. Okay, and then I added some olive green in a couple of those little lighter patches. I even picked up some blue. Okay, and it's basically just to push those little back scatter that we put on back. Okay, so right there. Okay, so, and it's gonna look so pretty when we put that daisy on, okay, which is the next step. So I'm just gonna blow dry this. I might even add a little touch more. No, I'm gonna leave it. Okay, so again, we're just sort of it's almost like a glaze over top of the background with those different background colors. Okay, so just water first, a little bit of Sunny Day, a little touch of white, some olive green, and then a few little patches again, just sort of staying in the same sort of color zones, I guess, adding a little bit of blue. I even added a little touch more pink, but again, you don't really have to worry about the bottom because our pretty flowers are going at the bottom. Okay, so, all right. I actually, I was at, believe it or not, I was at the dollar store the other day and I found this little plaque and I thought this was like a cute idea. I just sort of bought it because it had like the little string. So if you're painting on a little circle, you could add a couple little holes right there. Easy to drill up holes. And then you can hang it. I thought that was cute. So I might do that with this one. And again, this would make a cute little gift for someone. Okay. I know dragonflies are very special to a lot of people. Okay, so just again, make sure that you blow dry. Okay, when you're finished. Okay. So this is the mop brush that I'm using. Okay, I know Hilda just asked, but this is the Princeton Select. It's an oval mop. It works so nice because it doesn't shed. I've used quite a few mops in my time and I really love this one. And it has like a nice spring. So I actually use it for blending a lot. So I'll slip slap my background on and then just sort of soften by brushing back and forth. Okay, so it works really nice. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Everyone has their favorites. And I'm definitely a brush collector. I have a lot of brushes in my studio. They sort of add up. Okay, how's everyone doing with that? Okay. Again, don't worry too much. This is just that sort of background. Again, we're going to put that nice big bright daisy on top and the beautiful dragonflies. Those are going to be the focal point, and we're going to add some glitter to their wings, which really makes them pop. Okay, so to find those Princeton brushes, the brush guys have them in the US. I'm not sure about Hobby Lobby, but I know Michael's has them. Probably a lot of art stores. I know there's a couple art stores here that carry them. So a few different places carry the Princeton. Okay, and if anybody has another location, just let us know. Okay, I have a few brushes for people in Saskatoon. Okay. All right. How's everybody doing? Okay? Doing okay? Okay, great. I hope you're not, okay, don't stress yourself out over this background. I promise it'll all come together in the end. Goes through those really ugly stages, but it gets better. Okay. Kind of looks like something from space right now, but okay. Yes, Hilda, I think I do have some in stock, but I can let you know for sure. So, all right. Okay, so just finishing up those sort of the glaze over top of the background. Okay, and then when you're finished, you can actually trace your pattern on. Okay, so I actually don't have my traced on a tracing paper, but I'm just going to use my pattern. Okay, so go over, you can trace the little dragonflies, the big dragonfly. You can basically trace pretty much all of them. Try and go really nice and light. Okay, if you can, especially like not so much for this brighter daisy or the bigger one in focus in the foreground. Okay, but the ones right in here, really nice, transfer them really lightly. Okay, so, and I'm just using a little piece of white graphite. So you can trace on your details when you're ready. Okay, if you're still working on your glaze over top of the circles, no problem. Okay, just whenever you're ready, and if you need some more time, that's fine too. Okay, so of course, not. Okay. So you're just going to trace all those little details on like so. Okay, so if you did put a little bit of pink on the bottom, just, watch which way that you've got that in the right spot. Okay, if you turned your piece around at all. Okay, and you don't have to put welcome on. You can leave it off or, put another saying, whatever you like. Okay, and then of course, like make sure that your graphite paper is right underneath when you trace those details on. Okay. It's not the first time I've done that, and it won't be the last. I don't know if anybody else does that. Okay, or you have your graphite upside down. I do that, well, every once in a while. Okay, so just really nice and light for those background daisies. You don't really want to see your graphite lines too much. Okay, and I actually didn't trace on the little pink flowers. So it's up to you. They're just sort of little filler flowers, so I didn't worry about them. But I did trace on the little dragonflies and this nice big old daisy. Okay, like so. So just tracing on all of the petals. Okay, right in here. And again, Taylor is watching our chat, and if anybody has a question, she's going to let me know if I miss it. Okay. Like so. She used to be able to go out in the backyard and when she was little, and she could just go outside and put her finger out and dragonflies would land right on her finger. It was pretty amazing. I don't know, they just loved her. Okay. So you don't need the little lines in the wings. Okay. So don't worry about those. You're just gonna wing it. No pun intended. Just wing it. Okay, so all those little dragonfly bodies. Okay. so. I've got a couple little, I'm just going nice and light with the daisies. Okay, and again, feel free to change the colors. If you want some different colored flowers in the background, I have a stargazer lily that just bloomed in the front, and it's so beautiful. I don't know if anyone else likes lilies, but oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. We've had such hot weather here lately. Hot and sunny. Okay. So I think I got everything. Again, I just traced on pretty much everything, okay, except for those little pink flowers. And you can put those on if you like. Little dragonflies. I didn't trace on the little lines on their wings. Didn't worry about those too much. Okay. So we're just gonna do, we're gonna do a little bit more here. Okay. And we'll take a little break in a bit. Okay. Anybody needs a coffee or something? Okay. But it's coming along. It looks so much better when we're actually gonna start with just base coating that daisy. Okay, so nothing fancy, just whenever you're ready, you can start base coating with white. Okay. And if you wanted to change the color of your daisy, you definitely can. Okay. All my daisies are blooming in the backyard. They just spread like wildfire, it seems, which is nice. So they're all blooming all around. Okay, so just with that white, and I'm using, you can use a round brush, or if you have a filbert, even better. Okay, so if you have a little 4 or a 6 filbert, that's perfect. Okay, and I'm just gonna, when I base coat these, you start just sort of at the end of the petal and pull inwards. Okay, let me just find my filbert brush. Okay, so I've got a little bit of white. Okay, so wet your brush first. Tap off the excess water because you don't want to thin your paint at all. You want it to be really nice and nice coverage. You don't want it to be transparent. Okay, and I always hold my brushes right on the ferrule, the metal part of the brush, for the most part. Okay, depending on the technique, and rest your hand as much as you can. Okay, so you have lots of control on your brush, and you're going to start right at the end of that petal, nothing too fancy, and just pulling in with nice long strokes. Okay, and it'll probably need 2 coats. So, and I love daisies because the petals aren't, well, not every flower really, they aren't perfect. Okay, so some of them are a little bit bent or a little smaller or shorter. Okay, but I do try and leave, I left a little tiny bit of a space in between some of the petals just to help with that separation. Okay, so starting at the top. Okay, and this is just whenever you're ready, if you are still doing your glaze over top, definitely finish that and then trace your pattern on. Okay, like so, but it's nice with that contrast. I love the white on that green background, green and blue and all those different colors. So pretty. So pretty. Okay, so just go ahead and paint those petals on whenever you're ready. We're only doing that big daisy right now. Okay, so don't do the little ones yet. Those ones are going to be more transparent, and we'll do those after we've got this nice big one in. Okay, so like so. Okay, So yes, we will, well, I'll definitely need another coat. It is a little bit transparent, so I want it to be a little bit more vibrant. Just remember when you're painting these, nice long strokes, okay? So just coming in from the end, pulling in towards the center, rest your hand so you have lots of control. Okay, and just using that white. Then we're gonna do a little bit of shading later with a little touch of blue and some pink. Okay, like so. Right in here. Okay, just painting that in. Like this, we've got another little one coming in. All right, nothing fancy, just a little bit of base coating. Okay, so we'll paint this in with that. I'm using a 4 filbert, but if you have a 6, that would be better even. Okay, or even an 8. This one's just a little small. Okay, for some of them. Okay, so just pulling in towards the center. You can see I left a tiny little space in between some of them just to kind of create a little bit more separation and some shadowing. I love doing that on my pieces. I like to use the background color to my advantage. Like so. Okay. Right in here. Okay, just with white. All right. Coming along. Usually the first coat always takes the longest, and then just adding another quick coat after usually doesn't take too long. And the white actually covers pretty well, so it's not too bad at all. Like this. Right in here. I went to buy a stepping stone and they doubled in price. I couldn't believe that. They used to be $5 and now they're $10.50 or something like that at the, I don't know if you can find them easily where you live, but we have them at Home Depot. And I'm sure they were $5 last year and now they're 10, just over 10. But still a good price for a painting project, really. Seems like all the prices for everything have gone up. They sure add to your yard though. They look so nice. I have a couple. I don't put them in the front yard anymore because I had one stolen. I don't know, people, I guess somebody liked it. So they ran off with it and it was like, those things are like 45 pounds. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go around the little dragonfly. I'm going to add one more petal. It seems like there should be like one more little one just behind the dragonfly's head. If you want, you can add it too, but I'm going around the little body of the dragonfly or the big body. Okay, so right in here, make sure that you go right over top of the wings. Okay, those are of course going to be transparent, so you'll be able to see those petals that we paint underneath. Okay, so right in here. like so. Okay, so there's my daisy. Again, make sure that if you are going to do a second coat, make sure that it's really nice and dry before you do that. Okay. I always keep my blow dryer sort of handy so I can blow dry. But really pushes the background farther back, doesn't it? It's really nice and bright. I love it, especially when we add that poppy yellow for the center. Okay, it's really going to come to life. Okay, so keep working on your daisy. I'm just going to blow dry this and I'm going to give it a little bit more color. Okay, and then actually even before we do that second layer of color on our daisy, if you need to, you can add a few more little stenciled circles on the background. Okay, and these ones are just with white and a little bit of sunny day. So you get that really nice bright color. Okay, so just use your stencil, wherever that went. You know, I don't have a big painting desk, but it seems like things disappear all the time. Okay, so I've got, I'm just gonna throw in a couple more little ones like right in here. I want to add a couple more. They're just, again, just whenever you're done that first layer on your daisy, okay? And if you've got enough, just definitely, you know, go ahead and leave it. I'm gonna throw in a couple more like a little bit brighter ones with sunny day and some white. Okay, so I've got that nice bright yellow. I love it. So pretty. Okay, and I'm just gonna add a couple more really light ones. So I got rid of almost all the color off my brush, and it's just gonna make that pop. Okay, so I've got, and you can see like they really pop out a little bit there. So it's nice to maybe throw in a couple more. Just, you don't need too many, just a couple more right in the center there, just to really brighten. Okay, so right in here, like so. Kind of around the dragonfly wings here. I'm gonna add a nice big one. When you use these big circles, just really lightly with that color. Okay, so they really do look like a dry brush circle. I have almost no color on my brush. Okay, so I used basically sunny day with a little bit of white, and you can see it just sort of adds that nice brightness to it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Okay, and then even just some white. So, or adding more white to your brush. So I've got a couple more little guys. It's all about the depth. Okay. So we want some more that are a little bit closer up. More forward. Okay. So, like so. You can even dry brush a little bit more highlight in the background too, if you like. Right in that center there. And don't be afraid to throw a couple sort of here and there, like a little bit farther out from the center. Okay, you can have a couple that are just off to the sides. Okay, again, don't forget the overlapping ones. Okay, if they overlap. Oh, it's too much fun. Okay, it's really easy to get carried away. But anyway, it just sort of adds to it. So that was, once you get your first layer of color on your daisy, okay, I know that takes a little bit of time. So when you're finished, to go back and just add a few more little circles in the background, very light. So I used, again, a dry stippler with a tiny little bit of paint on it. So I used Sunny Day paint first, and then I added a little bit of white and I did a couple more little ones. Okay, so it's just sort of nice little focus in there. Okay, and you can even, you know, if you want, you can even take your stippler brush and just dry brush a little bit of color here and there. So, okay, and then rinse your brush out, of course, when you're done. Okay. Like so. Oh, okay, I gotta stop. Okay, and then go back and have another layer of color on your daisy. Okay, so just adding a little bit more color, a few more little circles close to the daisy. Sort of adds to that background. I want to do a butterfly version, so that's the next one I'm working on. So hopefully I'll get that done next week. Who knows, maybe a hummingbird. I don't know, the ideas are never ending. Just not enough time to paint them all. Okay, so another coat of white when you've got those little circles on. Okay, again, if you just a few more kind of right in here really adds to it. Okay. So that was just with Sunny Day and your stencil or your stippler brush. Okay, make sure that your brush is really nice and dry, okay, because you want it to look like a dry brush. So just a very few light little circles. Okay. Like so. Okay, and then another coat on your daisy. So 2 coats should be lots. Okay, so just as long as you have those nice long strokes, if you can see a few little brush marks, don't worry, it sort of adds to the texture of the petal anyway. So as long as you start kind of right at the tip of the petal and pull in towards the center, if you even have a few little streaks, that's totally fine. Okay, those daisy petals have lots of little lines in them, lots of texture. Okay, so adding those in, right in here. Okay. Now the other daisies in the background, they're not base coated, they're just kind of quickly painted in. So makes it look like they're farther back, so they have less detail. That's definitely one way to achieve that. Okay. Objects farther back have less detail. They're usually a little smaller, softer edges. Okay, this one has nice sort of sharp edges on the petal. Okay, so it's definitely closer. Okay, like so. All right. So if you've traced your pattern on and the lines on your daisies are fairly harsh, you know, they're a little bit brighter than just erase slightly over top of them, okay, before we paint them, because you don't want to be able to see those little graphite lines after. Okay, so there's my daisy. My wonky daisy has lots of crooked petals. Okay. And I'm just going to take an eraser and I'm going to really lightly erase over top of, this one's kind of bright. So you want it just to be able to see them. Okay. And I mean, if you want, you can also just wing it. So if you don't want to have a pattern on it all, okay, like so. I'm just really lightly going over top of them with my eraser so I can just barely see them there. Okay. Alrighty. Hey, our pieces are coming along. Like once you get that white daisy in there, it really starts to come to life. Okay, and then we've got those daisies in the background here that we're going to do as well. Okay, so they're just sort of a wash of color, pushes them farther back. Okay, so how's everybody doing with their base coating on their daisy? Doing okay? Okay. Everybody get a chance to add more little dots in the background, or do you need a few more minutes? It's totally fine. I know it takes a little time to base coat that. Okay, if you're ready, just give me a thumbs up. And if you need some more time, just let me know. Okay. Looks like they're coming along really good. Okay. Okay, and then we're going to use, so we've got that white daisy in there. We're going to add the other ones here too while we have that white and our filbert brush. Okay. We're also going to add a little shadowing after. So again, make sure that you blow dry that after you put on your first coat. Do your second coat. That'll fill in, make it a little bit more vibrant. Okay. And we're also going to use a little bit of raw sienna for the center. Okay, so if you want to grab a little bit of raw sienna and some cad yellow, those two colors we're going to be using here in a few minutes. So you can add those to your palette. Okay, if they'll come out. Ugh. I have a bad habit of leaving my lids open and then the paint dries, which I should do. Okay. All right. Okay, so if you want to grab some cad yellow when you have a chance and a little bit of raw sienna, okay, we'll be using that in a few minutes. Okay, just letting everybody finish base coating. Okay, that white daisy. So I've got a little touch of raw sienna and some cad yellow. I think we're also going to use a little bit of burnt umber. So we've got that burnt umber. You just need a little dash. Okay, nothing too much. Okay. Everybody doing okay? Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go. Okay, we've got a couple of people ready. Perfect. Looks good. Marilyn, Lisa, how are you guys doing? Tanya and Jen, you guys doing okay? Okay. Okay. Very nice. Yeah, those look good. Don't worry, they always come together in the end. They'll look great. Okay. All right, so just sort of finishing up. If you want to get those 3 colors out, we're going to use them next. Okay, we're going to do the flower centers in a few minutes. Tad yellow, raw sienna, and burnt umber are the colors that I'm using. Okay, for those, like that. Okay. Now with those, I think everybody's almost pretty much ready to go. I saw a lot of thumbs up. So we're gonna do a couple of those background flowers. These ones they don't take long at all, just because they're so transparent. You're doing just kind of like a wash. So you're gonna add a little bit of water to your paint, and we're gonna use some white. And I even added a little bit of water to the background. Okay, so if you need to I'm gonna blow dry this real quick just to make sure. Okay, again, when you're doing these background daisies, make sure that you erase over your graphite lines so they're really nice and light. Okay, so you don't want to see those through your wash. And I'm gonna try and find my. Anyway, if you have an 8 filbert, that'd work perfect. Okay, so you're gonna use a larger flat brush just to wet. Okay, so I'm putting a little bit of water down first. Again, this is kind of gonna blur the color and it's gonna make it a little bit more transparent. Okay, using my filbert brush, I've got just a smaller filbert, and with a little bit of white, you can add a touch of water to your paint. Okay, so that it's not quite so opaque. You want it to be nice and light. Okay. So we're just going to take a little touch of white, and I'm going to start with this one in the background, and you can see how light it is. It's very transparent and the color is really blurry. Okay, so because I put that little bit of water down, I'm just starting at the end of the petal. Push on your brush and pull into the center like this. Okay, so just following that pattern. So usually the petal in the center is like almost straight up and down, and then they sort of curve to the sides. Okay. Like that. Okay, so that one turned out a little bit brighter than I wanted. So you might have to I'm gonna soften this a little bit just by mopping lightly. Okay. Now, same thing, again, so if you want to put one like really far back, just a very little bit of color. Okay, so lightly. There we go. That's better. Okay, so this one looks way far in the distance. Okay, so I've got that tiny little petal. Again, rest your hand on your pinky. Hold your brush right on the metal part of the ferrule. Okay, or the handle, the ferrule, and just pulling from that outside edge in towards the center. Okay, and I just do kind of like a little flick. There's nothing fancy to these ones. They just have a transparent color to them. Okay, so I don't know if that's showing up, but it's very light. Okay, so I'm going to do another one here. This one right here. So it was a little bit brighter. So I'm still going to wet the surface so it blurs somewhat. Okay, so just taking that, I've got my nice big 3/4 inch flat brush. Just watch your other little daisies. Okay, and again, taking that filbert, I added a touch of water to my paint so it's transparent. Okay, again, it's going to blur a little bit. And the great thing about daisies, petals aren't perfect, or any flower. Okay, so I'm just taking that little bit of color in towards the center, just painting them in. Okay, so press on your brush and pull in towards the center. If you need a couple strokes to fill in those petals, totally fine. And it just kind of adds that nice little, gives you a little bit of texture to the petal too. Okay, so this is what my petals look like. I'm going to make this one a little bit brighter with a second layer after it's dry. Okay, or if you want, you can add a touch more paint while it's still wet. What the heck? We'll just add it now. Just a little bit more white. Okay, just so it's a little bit brighter. It's nice to have some that are really transparent, so they look really far back. And then they sort of, there's a few that are a little bit brighter, but not quite as bright. Just to, again, create that depth in the picture. Now, if something gets a little bit too bright for your liking, you can actually just let it dry and then just kind of wash over with the background color. So just like we did with the spots in the beginning of the picture, we did all those little circles and then we washed over top with the background colors and it set them back so much. So you can definitely do that with any of the daisies or the flowers. If they get too bright, just wash over top, no problem. Just make sure that it's nice and dry. Okay, we've got a couple more little daisies. There's one right here that is very transparent. Okay, again, I'm going to wet the surface first. So just with a little bit of water. Okay, taking that brush like this, little touch of water. Okay, my paint is thin just a little bit on my palette. Okay, so add a little touch of water so that it's a little bit more transparent. Okay, and then again, I'm just going to do a couple strokes, or you can, if you've got a bigger filbert brush, just press on your brush and pull in to the center. Okay, nice long strokes. Okay, like so. There's another one. All done. We're not going to do any shading or anything on those ones. They're just sort of blurred. Okay. The best flowers to paint. No details. They look great. Okay, nice and soft. Again, just using my filbert brush, and I'm going to paint in this little one in the background. Okay, so they should all look a little bit blurred. Definitely put that little bit of water down first, so they're a little softer. Okay, so there's another little guy. Okay, again with those daisies, I usually start right in the center. Okay, because that petal is usually straight up and down. And then the rest on the right side, they angle towards the right. Okay, and then I've got some on this one that angle towards the left, and then a couple little dashes for the bottom. Okay, like so. And then we've got a couple buds. So again, don't forget to wet the area first. Okay, unless you want them more forward. Okay, wet it first. Do 3 little dashes. That's all the little bud is. Okay. 3 or 4, whatever you want. Okay. And if you want to add, oops, I forgot this one. Okay. One more, just wet the area first. Okay. Taking a little bit of white on, I've added just a touch of water to my paint so it's not quite so bright. And lots of times I just do like a little dash, so it's a really short little dash for the bottom petals there, and then leaving a little center. But you can see this one, you can see those little graphite lines. They really show up, so you kind of got to watch that. Hopefully they'll erase in the end, but it's better to erase them before if you can. Okay. All right. So we've got a few background daisies. Too stressful, right? Wasn't too bad. Okay, trick is make sure that you wet the area first with a little bit of water. Okay, if you have that 8 filbert or something close to it, I even have my 6 here, but just pulling from the edge or the tip of the petal in towards the center. Okay, and then once that's, I'm going to blow dry this, and I'm going to add one more layer so that this one is just a little bit brighter than the rest, so that we kind of have the foreground, some middle ground, background. Okay, we've got a couple. So we have lots of depth to our picture. Okay, so I just blow dried, make sure that they're really nice and dry. And then if you want, you can take your, again, you just take your brush with a little touch of water. Okay, and you're gonna go over top of that one daisy again, just to make it a little bit brighter than the others. Okay, so one more little layer. Okay, of transparent color. So you can see it's just sort of popping more forward than the other ones that we did in the background there. Okay. All about the depth. Okay, so just adding to that with one more layer on this daisy right here. Okay, or pick whichever daisy that you like. Okay. If you want one to have a little bit more color, whoops, make sure that you wet it first so it's not so bright. And just add a little touch more. Okay, if it's faded too far in the background, just add a little bit more white. Okay. So coming along really well. Okay. I always tell people if you do happen to post your pieces, I would love to see them. If you tag me or send me the link, I'd love to see them. Hard to see them on Zoom sometimes, but it's just Holly Hanley Artist. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Okay, so again, just sort of adding those daisies in the background. If any of your daisies get too bright, just blow dry it and then just do a wash over with some, you can use a little bit of tropical blue or true blue or mistletoe, anything that was in the background, kind of in that area, just wash over top. And a wash is just when you add a little bit of water to your paint so that it's transparent and you can see those colors underneath. So, okay. So just 2 coats on this daisy, make it super nice and bright. This one is a little bit brighter, so I added 2 coats on this daisy. Two coats of transparent white. And then we're gonna do those little centers here and the stems. Okay, and then we'll take a little break. Okay, so everybody doing okay? Give me a thumbs up if you're doing okay. Okay, awesome, great, thank you. Let me know if I'm going too fast or if we missed something. Okay. All right. Okay, so these little background daisies, again, I'm just gonna blow dry real quick and then we'll do the centers. Okay, so the flower center, I actually used the round brush to dab that in. I don't know if you noticed, but I did put a little swirl in it. I love swirls, so I try to stick them in wherever I can. Okay, let's just see 1 second here. All right. Okay, Karen, do you want to hold your piece up and I can take a look if you like? Okay, oh, there we go. Let's wait 1 second. Nope, not at all. Those look great. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. You want to, again, like the background daisies are supposed to be really nice and light anyway, because you want to create that bit of depth. Okay, so, and if you find later too, like if you, once we put the pink and the dragonflies in, if you wanted to come back and just brighten up a little bit, you can always do that. So, but I like them. They're really nice. Very nice. Okay. Okay, so we're just gonna do that flower center again. We're going to take, I use my round brush actually because I like lots of dots, but if you want to use your stippler brush, you definitely can. Okay, so sometimes it's a little easier with the stippler. Okay, I find sometimes I really like to do it with just that round brush, just because I love all the little individual dots. So it's really up to you. Maybe I'll use a little bit of both. Okay, but if you have a smaller stippler, that would be great. If not, that's just use your round brush. But I usually start with a little bit of the cad yellow. I love that color for centers. So it's just, and then we're going to add, it's just nice and bright. And then we're going to add a little bit of raw sienna around the bottom and then even some burnt umber. And if you want to add that little bit of a swirl, you can. That's with the raw sienna as well. And then we're going to add some nice highlights. Okay, so that's going to be with cad yellow and white, or you can use sunny day. Okay, so here we go with that flower center. Okay, I'm just gonna stipple a little bit of color in just to kind of get started with that stippler brush. So if you have a little 1/4 inch or an 1/8 inch, why not? It works pretty good. Works really well. Okay, so we'll just stipple in that center. We're only doing the big flower. Don't do these little ones. Okay, they're done a little differently. So we've got that flower center just with some of the cad yellow. Whenever you stipple with that brush, make sure that you stipple really lightly. Okay, so if the lighter that you stipple, the more texture that you get. Okay, so if you really, if you just basically press on your brush, you get a circle. But if you pounce lightly, you can see I'm almost like just dropping the brush. You get such a textured, nice fuzzy look, which I love for the centers. So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, and then you're going to take a little touch of that raw sienna. Okay, pounce a couple times on in your brush. Okay, so I just picked it up a little bit of raw sienna on the toe of the brush, pounce a couple times, and you're going to add that little bit of raw sienna. Okay, so again, pouncing really nice and light. Okay, like so. Okay, and then even just a little touch, so I went all the way around, just a little touch of the burnt umber. Okay, so a couple little dabs of burnt umber. Okay, I forgot to put the little swirl in this one. If you want, you can add a little swirl. Kind of cute. So you can add like so. So if you want to add that, you sure can. And then I'm going to switch to my round brush. Okay, so I'm going to add a few more little dots with raw sienna and burnt umber. Okay, so like this. Okay, coming on to the petals. Okay, I haven't forgotten, we're going to add a little bit of blue shading to that daisy. Don't worry, we'll do that. Okay, coming up. So we've got, again, I love using a larger round brush. If you have a larger one, like a 4 or 5 or even a 6, I love the large rounds. They work great, okay, for adding lots of little dots, things like that. Okay, and then I'm even going to add with the raw sienna and burnt umber mix, I'm just going to kind of add that little swirl. I love swirls. So and again, if this is not your thing, don't add it. It's fine. I promise I won't hold it against you. Okay, so right in here. Oh, so cute. Anyway, okay, so there's my little swirl, and then I'm gonna rinse my brush. And if you want to use your stippler, you sure can. I'm gonna go with cad yellow and a little bit of white. Okay, so this, I'm gonna add some little dots. Okay, so right in the highlight area, I'm gonna add lots of little dots. Like so. Okay. Right in here. Okay, so just highlighting that center part. Again, I don't worry about that dragonfly wing. It actually gets painted right over top, and it's nice to be able to see some of those little details. Makes it look, that wing look really transparent. Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed. What color are you highlighting with right now?
Oh, sorry, just with cad yellow and a little touch of white.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Yep. And then I'm going to add even more. So I'm going to add some more. Looks like a little cinnamon bun. Okay. I always think of food when I'm painting. I don't know why. All right. Okay, so I've got that little swirl. Okay. So cad yellow and white little dots, and I like all the little individual dots, but you can totally just use your stippler brush if you want. Definitely feel free to use what makes you happy. It's all good. Okay. Everybody has their own thing. Okay. All right. So I got my little center. Okay. So just highlighted with cad yellow and a little bit of white. Okay. And I'm just pouncing. I love the texture. So I'm just dabbing in little dots with my round brush. Like so. It just brings that daisy to life. And then when you're done that, you're just going to add the centers to those other flowers that are farther back. Okay. They're nowhere near the same. They don't have any detail really. Okay. You just wet the surface first and then just take a little touch of cad yellow. And if you want to get fancy, you can kind of dab it with your round brush and even add a little touch of raw sienna at the bottom if you like, and then maybe pounce with your mop a couple times. That's all you need. Okay, they don't have a lot of detail. Okay, so wet it, take a little touch of cad yellow, just do a little dash, a couple little dabs there like this. These ones don't even really have raw sienna. If you want to add it, you sure can, but just a little dash of the cad yellow. Pounce a couple times with your mop, and that's it. Okay. Gotta love those. Fun and easy and quick. Just one little dash of color, and that's all you need. Okay, so like this, wet the area first. Okay, if you want to add a little touch of raw sienna, you definitely can, just a little bit at the bottom. I know it's tough, but try not to add too much detail because you do want those to look farther back, and you can't see all the little details and things that are in the background. They're supposed to be out of focus. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. The ones that are a little bit more forward, you can make them a little bit brighter. So this one, I added a little bit brighter, even a little dash of white. Okay. All right. Okay, our little cinnamon bun center. Okay, so that center, I stippled first with the stippler brush just because it's handy. I went over with cad yellow. Okay, and then I picked up a little bit of raw sienna on my stippler and I stippled it right around the outside edge to create a little bit of depth. And then just added a little touch of burnt umber around the bottom. Okay, wiped my brush, or actually rinsed my brush clean. And then I used my round brush to add the little dots for highlight. And that was with cad yellow and a little bit of white. And I just dotted them on. So just to kind of give it a little bit of extra texture, you can see every little dot. If you want, you can even take raw sienna and do the same thing kind of around the outside edge, raw sienna and burnt umber. Okay, and then these flowers in the background, they are very simple. Don't add a lot of detail because you want them to look like they're in the background, out of focus. Okay, so just wet the area first. Again, don't forget that. It makes a big difference. Okay. Thanks for coming, Paula. Okay, so we're just taking that, you wet the area first, take a little bit of cad yellow, add a little touch of that raw sienna at the bottom, okay, and then even just a little dash of white at the top. Okay, so if you want, but keep it simple. Keep it simple. Don't, I know it's tough not to add more details, but looks better. Okay, and again, if any of those flowers ever get too bright, you can just take a brush like this and just wash over top with a little touch of blue. So just very transparent color like that. And you just wash over top and it pushes it farther back. Okay, with whatever color that's in the background. So this one was blue, even a little bit of tropical blue or whatever you have. So don't have to worry. Okay, so just working on those little flower centers. Cad yellow, raw sienna, burnt umber, and then cad yellow and white to highlight. These ones were just mostly cad yellow. Okay, some of them had a little bit of raw sienna at the bottom. Make sure that you wet it first. Okay, so that's the trick. You really want to wet that. Okay, you can make this one a little bit brighter because it's more forward. Okay, like so. Okay, and then we just have like those, just a couple little stems, okay, off of the bud. So just wet it. Sorry, when you have a chance, I know you're still probably working on the centers, but when you have a chance, just, use mistletoe and a little touch of olive green on your round brush and just pull a couple little dashes for that stem. Okay, so a little calyx, couple little dashes with your round and then the stem coming down. Okay. So trick is just wet the area first so you can bring a couple little stems down. Okay. Make sure that you wet it so that it blurs. Okay, so that's so easy. I just loaded my round brush with a little bit of mistletoe and a touch of olive green and just pulled a couple little stems here. Okay, make sure that you wet the surface first so it's a little bit softer. Okay, but look at that background coming to life and those daisies. All right,